Welcome to Ask Us Anything, Draft to Digital. This is Mark Leslie Lefebvre.
Dan Wood.
And Kevin Tumlinson.
And we're in the offices at Draft to Digital in Oklahoma City. This is the first time we're actually, very rarely that we're actually together in a room and we're not at a conference or at a bar somewhere.
And this is the place. This is where we take your digital words and make them into books for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here, we have a factory in the background.
The magic happens. So we had a couple topics we wanted to talk about first, and thank you guys for submitting some of the questions that Alyssa's punting over to us on the screen. I think Kevin wanted to talk a little bit more about libraries, right, as a focus.
I thought that might be a good topic. People have asked a lot about libraries, and we'll talk about this more toward the end, but we have some library-related news that we can bring up. So questions about libraries are welcome. Library news.
Okay, so one of the questions that came in about libraries earlier was, do I need an ISBN to sell my books, to get my books into the libraries? And they were talking about ebooks specifically.
Actually, that's probably a question you're going to be able to answer better than I can.
So we do. You don't need to buy your own, but if you want to buy your own, you can provide your own. If you're in the U.S., you need to buy it. In several other countries, you buy it. In Canada, I understand they are free, so you just request one. We do send ISBNs on to the library vendors. However, if you don't have your own ISBN, you can use our free ISBNs that we provide. With the free ISBN, you still retain all of your rights, all that good stuff. It's just using ours because we get to buy them in bulk instead of costing us. If you buy them individually, it might cost $100 for ISBN. We buy 100,000 at a time, so we're paying less than $1. And so there's not really a lot of reason to get your own ISBN when it comes to digital books. However, with print, I would highly recommend, because ISBNs are such an integral part of the print process, that having your own ISBN is handy.
And I'm going to throw this in for Canadians. If there's any fellow Canadians out there listening to this, you can register for free ISBNs through the Canadian government. Just actually, you just have to Google Canada ISBNs and you register for an account, you log on, and you can get your ISBN. You are obligated to send 2 print copies to the National Library for your books, but hey, it never hurts, right? To know that your book's in a library somewhere, even if a library never bought it. But that's something as well. So what else about libraries, or do we want to jump into some of the other questions?
Let's go into some of the questions, and we'll kind of keep looping around to libraries as we have chance.
All right.
I'm sure
That's
we can
just
get
a general theme. If you have a library-related question, feel free to ask.
All right, cool.
Or any question. You can ask any question you want.
So I'm going to pronounce the name Bocarat?
Bocarat?
I think Boca. Oh, yeah,
Okay, Bocarat. It said in an earlier webinar, he said it was easier to sell a series than a standalone book. What are the steps to marketing a series successfully, and how does that differ from marketing a standalone title? Also, wouldn't sales decrease with each successive novel, just as TV ratings go down each season of a series as viewers peel off?
So, I mean, in general, it's not. There's no real difference in marketing a series over marketing an individual book. It's just that there are more books that you can market, and you can actually change which book you focus on if you can only afford to market one book.
Right.
It's mostly the reason it's easier to sell a series than a standalone is because readers like to have something to go to next. So if you've got a series of 3 or 4 books and you advertise the first one to get people started, when they come in, you can kind of capture them and continue them on to the next book. And you want to try to build up read through, basically. As far as the other part of the question was, would sales decrease? I mean, possibly.
Yeah, drop-off can happen.
Drop-off does.
Yeah. It certainly does happen.
It does happen.
It's a big topic of conversation amongst marketing authors is knowing exactly what your sell-through rate is, because it's not going to be 100%. But as you keep going, it's going to go down a little bit. But hopefully, it's going to be a high number.
But with more books, it increases the chances of your discoverability.
More visibility.
And you have more people hopping on, which is a good reason to try to write books that can stand alone, even if they are part of an overall series, so that people can come on board anywhere along that line.
Right.
one of the methods that I use, because I've got a series right now that is 9 books with 2 sort of prequel novella things. I advertise like book 1 and book 3 right now, and that's helped with kind of getting people on board. I'm probably going to add book 6 or whatever, and just kind of stagger them, and that way I don't have to advertise every single book. And in fact, I'll probably only advertise 2 to 3 books at a time in this series.
Well, frequently we will see that with the series, you can do some interesting things with the first book. Some authors will do like a free first in the series, or take part in some of the promotions that retailers run that are around free first in the series.
Right.
You might have a tiered pricing structure where the first and second, third book are a little bit cheaper, and then the price just goes up a little bit as people continue with the series. Just gives you a lot of options. With books in a series, you can do box sets,
Right.
Which there are a lot of people that like to buy in bundles or box sets. And so just having that product available can be handy, and it also gives you a little leeway with, you can have a higher price on a box set. And so if you advertise a box set, sometimes your return on investment, or the immediate return you're getting, is much higher. And so it's kind of different economics.
And I should say that when it comes to box sets and collections, there are people out there who only read those. So you can pick up an entirely new audience with a box set.
So I want to clarify the term box set, because a lot of people use it and have no idea what they're talking about. It comes from traditional publishing, where they would actually take 3 books in a trilogy, for example, and actually put them in a box with the spines out, and it would be a special gift edition. You'd often see it at Christmas time. And so when we're talking box sets, we're not talking print books. We're talking ebooks, and we're talking digital bundles or digital box sets. And that kind of leads to a question. So John Pratt Bangham asked, he's completing book 3 in the Hangtown trilogy. Congratulations, John. He says, how do I arrange a box set? So how do you do a digital box set?
Take all the digital books, slide them in one at a time.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and what kind of box do you use? Cardboard?
The digital box.
So it's there are a lot of different ways to do this. Basically, the primary thing you're going to be doing is collecting all these into essentially one big book. And you can call this a box set, or you can call it an omnibus, or you can call it, like, there's a couple of different things you can call a bundle. But it is essentially one book that contains each of the other books.
All the content.
Yeah, one ebook, I should say. And you can carry that over into print, by the way. I did that with I have a trilogy, a sci-fi trilogy that I bundled together as an omnibus, which is just really another word. In this case, it's really another word for box set.
Or a big book.
Big book.
Lots
a big,
of stuff.
thick book. I should just change that to box set, however, because it has a little more traction.
Okay.
I wanted it at the time to just bulk up my library.
Okay.
So it was an additional book if you were looking at my titles.
Okay.
So that's why I called it an omnibus at the front. But now I would probably just call it a box set.
Oh, box set.
Yeah.
So just logistically, because I figure authors are probably listening to this saying, okay, so do I put, I probably need a new cover, some sort of representation. And I know that, for example, places like Kobo and Apple want, they don't want that, that 3D version.
Right.
Because that actually looks like a physical box set, which shows the value. But Apple and Kobo
Apple
specifically
does forbid 3D covers. So it was very popular early on with these bundles to make a 3D cover to kind of made it look like a box set.
Which you can still do on Amazon.
You can, yeah. You can still do it on Barnes & Noble.
Right.
Apple will reject it. They want a flat image. The flat image just looks better in the advertisements that they do on both their website or within their apps. And so their merchandise would prefer it.
Yeah.
With Kobo, you're probably not going to get a promotion if you've got the 3D image. And like I said, Apple's just going to reject it.
Yeah. So I think one of the ones that Apple's featuring right now from one of our authors, the Frostborn series.
Yes.
Is that?
Jonathan Muller, I believe.
Yeah. So Jonathan Muller, if you're on Apple, you can go and take a look at, I forget what promo is in.
The Unputdownable Reads.
Yeah, Unputdownable Reads. And you can see that he has the 4 books as a flat with just the 4 book covers there. So you can actually see the value that this is a really good deal as opposed to a unique cover. So that Doug Salter said, what are some of the things a D2D author can do to increase their chances of books being promoted by Apple or other D2D booksellers?
So one of the major things is just make sure that you have links to all the retailers on your author website. That on your social media, you're sharing the link to the other retailers. When we nominate books to their merchandisers, if you're only showing Amazon links, they're only sending readers to Amazon, they're not going to choose your book. We have a handy thing called Books to Read. Maybe Kevin, would you like to explain how that might help you in this regard?
I phased out. What was the
Books
question?
to read?
So the question,
I can tell you what
yeah,
books to read is.
yeah. The question was about how to improve your chances of being promoted by Apple or other D2D
Right.
retailers.
So
And we saw that a lot of people would just share the Amazon link, or they might just share their Amazon Author Central page.
right.
So just how would you go about using Books to Read and some of the things we built?
So one of the primary tool on Books to Read is our universal book link, which is, in simplest terms, it's a single link that will send readers to practically everywhere a book appears online. And you would copy a URL from an existing book page, say, Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and drop it in, and it'll scan and find that book in as many places as possible. And then all you have to do is give out this one link, and you can customize it, customize the URL so that maybe you use the title of your book. So it'd be like I have bookstoread.com/30day is one of mine that goes to 30-day author. That makes it a lot easier to share, a lot easier to remember if you need to rattle it off to somebody. And it's an evergreen link, so you can put it on print materials as well as on digital, use it in digital materials. So you can share that everywhere, and that makes you easier to discover and makes it easier for readers to get to their favorite store.
Can I add something that I know works really, really well from my previous experience at Kobo, as well as working with great people at Apple, is pre-orders. Actually planning your pre-orders early. I know, once the book is edited, once you got everything ready to go, it's really exciting to just press publish, and that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the authors who have long lead times on the pre-orders, there are specific promos at Apple, especially lately, that we've been able to get authors into, and Apple even has sneak peeks where if the full book is actually ready to go, an editor at Apple will actually read the book and look for quality stuff. They're looking for those, I guess, the diamonds in the rough, or they're looking for that next great read.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to have some time to look at it and feature it and say, we've actually not just judged it by its cover, but we actually believe this is a good book that you should read. And so because the power that indie authors have for rapid release and all of those things, not a lot of indie authors are doing those release times. So when you're doing a long release time, you're doing it very similar to the big publishers, with one caveat: you're probably making your price a lot more reasonable.
Yeah.
And so it makes it that much more attractive with a long lead time. So that's something I think that can actually help as well.
With everything, the more reviews you have, the better. And so make sure you're asking people to leave a review at all the retailers.
Not just on Amazon.
It's going to help you get BookBub ads. It's going to help you get chosen for those spots at the retailer. They will take proof that you're selling on other websites as a little bit of proof, but they each have like a little bit different demographic they reach. And so they really want to see your book already starting to move on their website. And so having reviews just gives evidence of that.
Yeah, that is cool. Thank you. I guess the library question, the sort of second half.
Yeah, we can move down a little bit.
Yeah. Can you suggest any other way apart from this to submit my ebook to libraries? We didn't really.
There's a first. Oh, we already answered that.
We answered that one. Yeah. So any other way apart from this? I'm not sure. I mean, with purchasing ISBNs, I think we kind of cover that, because you get a free ISBN with us.
Yeah, you can submit your book for free through all of our digital library partners. Okay. Like we said, you can buy an ISBN, but you don't have to.
Yeah. Cool. And speaking of books to read, Rebecca Carter asked, are there any plans to have the ability to add our print books listed on our D2D author page? Books to read.
So I think we're at a point where we'll be able to add audio before print. There's some complications with print because of, Amazon is one of the biggest retailers of print books online. It's hard to get the right link because Amazon also sells used books and they all show up on that same page. And so sometimes some of the used book vendors will spend money to put their book above the actual print-on-demand version. And so it's something that we want to do. We want to make it really easy to reach your book in every format available. Digital, of course, is like our specialty. We're really moving in towards that print stuff. And then we work with Find a Way on audiobooks. And so we really want to make it easier for readers to find all those. There's some things that are just more challenging than others, but it's something we are aware of. We're looking into it. Don't really have an estimated time on when we might add it.
But it is something we intend on doing.
Yeah.
We just want to do it right. We want to do it in a way that benefits you getting the sales, not a used bookstore, because you're not going to get anything for that, for the used bookstore sale, right?
Right.
If that's the case. Okay.
You don't want to compete with yourself and lose.
No, you don't. So Dana Alexander asked, with the upcoming print option going through Ingram, which is how our D2D print books are distributed through Ingram, and set at a 55% discount, if I already have an Ingram account for a series, does listing print with you cause conflict in ordering, reviews, etc.? I discounted 55% with D2D and another discount with Ingram at 52%. Best to only list with either D2D or Ingram. I wouldn't do both because
Probably wouldn't do both either.
no, it's especially if you're using your own ISBN, it'll cause conflict. You'll be competing with yourself, two different ISBNs listed.
Yeah,
Dual listed. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say it this way: you can't do both. Not that you physically can't do it, because you can, but you shouldn't. You definitely should not do both because you're not supposed to. You can't use the same ISBN through two different services.
Right.
There is no limit. There's no limitations on distributing your print book through various PLE services or whatever. You can use KDP print and DVD print at the same time if you want. And I know there are people who are planning to do just that, mostly to kind of test and see their results. One of the things that we've kind of kicked around as a sort of concern when it comes to that is that Amazon will tend to go with the distributor that's going to give them the most money, which may not necessarily mean you make the most money. So you may find yourself once again competing with yourself.
Okay, that's a good point. And so along those lines, Mark Pratt asks, wants us to explain the D2D, the draft to digital print beta, and the revenue share for authors. Is revenue share a separate topic, I'm assuming?
I'm guessing he may be talking about what will they make from D2D print.
Oh, I see.
What's their
Okay.
share?
That's why.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about
I'm
royalty
interpreting
splitting.
it to you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, let's not open the royalty splitting can of worms just yet.
Okay.
So with our draft to print beta, we wanted to solve some of the problems that we saw that were keeping people from having a print version available. So oftentimes we used to distribute to create space. Oftentimes we'd see people stop at the point where we asked them for a print cover because that meant they had to spend more money with a cover artist to get the print cover made. Unfortunately, like if you change the size of the book or if you add something to the book, then you have to reach out to the artist again and get it the sizing adjusted. If you've ever set up a print-on-demand book with Ingram or with KD Print now, is that what they call it?
KDP print. Yeah.
KDP Print. It can be kind of difficult task. So we built a cover creator that takes your digital cover and will create and size the cover appropriately for your book. And that also, it'll change as you change the size and you change things about your book.
And I'm just holding up a self-promotional example of one of my 64-page short story collections.
Right.
Where only had the front cover designed, threw it in, and it automatically does everything for you, and you can adjust, upload a different author picture.
Yeah.
So without having to pay a designer. Alex Carver, this is one of his that he did, and again, he used the automatic generator, so he obviously had this professionally done.
It's a very cool tool, and one of the things it does is take an average of the color of the front cover and then wrap that around. So these two examples are both dark colored, but if you had I think we've got another one.
Well, this is a white one.
A white,
it's very white colored
one. Yeah. So that's an easy one. But if you had one
blue, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
similar to that. I would pick up that tone and wrap it around it. So it doesn't wrap around your image. But we've kind of kicked around the idea of allowing people to upload a separate image. But you can also upload, if you have a fully designed print cover, such as this one.
Sorry, covering the
dashing thriller author.
Dashing Tumlinson.
It will allow you to upload your own print designed cover if you bought one or did one yourself.
So same thing with the interior. You can use one of our templates, which is great with the drop caps and all the headers and all that sexy stuff. Or if you've done your own internal PDF, you can just upload that. Right. I've done a combination of both.
A lot of people bring its vellum PDFs every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah. We just wanted to make it much easier to get the formatting right and get everything in. And then it has the distribution network behind it so they can reach, most of the online stores that show print, and you can order stuff there. In addition to that, we're working on the component of it that lets you order author copies at a significant discount. And so for book signings or for you to get a couple of copies to keep around your house or to give to your friends, that will be available. That's been one of the parts that's been like the most challenging to get right. And, our print beta has gone a little bit longer than we originally thought it would, but we just want to get all of that right. Because, print is it's a format that's not going to go away. We think there's a lot of reasons for that. There's some people that just prefer reading in print. Yeah. There's the aspect of people use books to show what authors they love, to decorate their homes. And so we just want to make sure that's there. And we like the fact that when you have the print book available, it shows the print book price and it shows you what a good deal the ebook price is on a lot of the different websites.
It's surprising how much of a psychological impact that has on the readers in terms of marketing. It's like a little extra marketing magic to have multiple versions of a book with different prices, because people will gravitate towards if they're on the fence, they may see that lower priced ebook and go ahead and buy because it looks like next to the print version and the audiobook version, it looks like it's maybe on a discount, and that will actually sometimes overcome someone's reluctance to buy.
Right, that's true. It shows value in it.
Yeah.
I should say in terms of author copies, because I'm the Canadian in the room, we are exploring the opportunity to partner with somebody for author copies in the Great White North. So, because one of the challenges I've had using both Ingram and Amazon Print is, the price is good, but the minute you cross the border, there's brokerage fees and there's shipping is just ridiculous. So, looking at the possibility of how can authors outside the U.S. Even benefit from this. So,
yeah,
I'm always thinking
in Canada and abroad, we're looking for partners that can get past some of those shipping costs.
Yeah. I've been considering just shipping a suitcase full of them next time I fly. Just every author just talk to me next time I go.
You're gonna do that. So Amy Shojai is asking, do you find that there's a sweet spot on numbers in the series? Does the interest fall off, say, after 6 or 8?
So it really kind of depends on the series, honestly. But I mean, if you look around, some of the most successful ongoing series have a huge number of volumes. Look at Lee Child and the Jack Reacher books. I mean, they're going to go on until
Kevin Butcher stuff.
Exactly.
No, that's not right.
Jim
Butcher,
Butcher. Kevin Butcher. That's my opinion.
So it's you and Jim writing together, right?
It's me and Jim. That's us shipping. But I think there is a sort of minimum. Like I think 3 books is pretty much the lowest number.
There seems to be a sweet spot where people start buying more after you get to like 3 or so, and then some authors have seen the series really take off at 6 or more. So that's just like getting it going. I would say as long as you're still writing compelling stories about that set of characters, there are so many indie authors that are just having huge success writing about the same characters who've written 15, 20 novels in the series. I think we can easily see with the Marvel Universe that people are willing to stick with things. Like sometimes you want new characters. I've always been impressed by, many people have done this, but I remember hearing her talk about for the first time, Bella Andre, her romance series, how she keeps it going is, she'll stick with one couple for a couple of books. She'll start introducing other characters though within the family or people around that, and getting people already interested in them and loving them as side characters, and then going on and telling their story later, all within the same series. They're all connected in a way.
So I've been doing that with my books. As I get further along, I'm introducing new storylines. So sort of that ABC story setup, and I have side characters who are now having sort of entire chapters that are nothing but their POV. Okay. They have their own sort of secondary adventure going through the whole book, and that's a way for me to keep it fresh for me. But I'm discovering my readers love that. They love that they still get Dan Cotler, the main protagonist, the Indiana Jones character, but they also love that they're getting this sort of richer, deeper landscape that they can explore. It makes the world feel more real to them, but it's still within the same series. Kind of like James Rowlands does with his Sigma Force stuff.
Okay. And I think, so one of the side effects of writing those secondary characters and telling their stories is it can be another book in your series, but it can also be a lead magnet that you would use for your author newsletter. So the people who are really, they love Dan Cotler and they want more of some sidekick or some character who he encountered but you never see again. Right. Well, maybe Kevin cut a scene with that, with a side story that got cut from the final novel, or maybe he's got fan letters that talk about it. You can have that as an asset, saying, well, if you sign up from a newsletter, it's the only way you can get this story. Right. And that way they're real fans, as opposed to people just signing up for a free book. They're a little newsletter marketing tip.
Right. Bonus.
So Creston Mapes asks, with the popularity of page reads on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited page reads, why should an indie author go wide using Draft to Digital? I really like your platform. We really like you too, Creston. But the page reads are appealing, and page reads and Kindle Unlimited is very appealing to a lot of authors. So
a lot of money there.
We could talk about that for days, but what's the,
It is the sort of quintessential short game versus long game strategy, right? In terms of marketing, it is very smart to go ahead and focus on the whole Amazon KDP select landscape when you're starting out. You don't have a lot of books, you don't have an audience. It's a great way to build some momentum while earning money. But the idea is you don't want to be limited on one platform because things change. And we've seen Amazon disrupt and get rid of entire services and tools. Now, I don't know if there's any real danger of KDP Select going away anytime soon, but it could happen.
Well, Amazon's very customer-centric. And if their customers don't like it, they're not going to do it. Right. So if something changes and customers aren't valuing it, then they may get rid of it. Right. So that's a possibility.
I do understand the challenges of this, though, because it's very difficult to balance using both. Right. Yeah. And my advice is, if you are writing a series, get that series built up nice and big. And then once your earlier books start to kind of taper off in interest on that platform, those are the books I would start taking wide. Yeah. And you can even if you do play your cards right, you can even do a sort of pre-order. You can do pre-orders through us on other platforms. There's a sort of trick to it. I'm happy to talk about it. But it basically comes down to creating a second listing, right? A second version of the book, basically. Okay. But you definitely cannot have them exclusive on Amazon while you do that. Right. It should be out before you even start the pre-order. Right. But yeah, there's ways to do this. You want to try to go wide, mostly so that it's a bit of security, right? It's a way to sort of future-proof your work. Because I don't think anybody ever started this business saying to themselves, I can't wait to be exclusive to Amazon for my entire career.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
And going back to our earlier topic of libraries, and with Amazon, if you're exclusive with them, you can't sell your book to libraries.
Your ebook.
Right.
Yeah, your ebook.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's a good question. We don't know why they choose to target libraries and not allow the books to go into them.
Right.
But
well, and that's a benefit. So when you're in Kindle Unlimited, when your books are there, you're training readers to read your stuff for free and never have to buy it. And so I've had authors complain and say, ever since I've published wide, I have people yelling at me and complaining that they can't read my books for free anymore on Amazon.
Yeah.
And that's when I suggest to them, like, there's a library.
Yeah.
Then you can go get your book for free. So they can still read your book for free. You're not taking anything away from those customers.
and they can generally request your book from the library, and librarians have a budget to buy books that are requested by their customers.
By their consumers, because they're very patron driven, right? At the
We
libraries.
have, as part of our library distribution, a lot of our libraries use our CPC model, right? Cost per checkout.
It's catching on, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the idea there is in a way somewhat similar to the page reads thing, sort of. Give me some leeway here.
Mhm.
But the idea is you make less per book checked out, but more books can be checked out at once. So instead of, the library gets a license to have one copy of your book, and only one patron at a time can check it out for the 2 weeks that they're allowed to have it or whatever. That's the only book that can go out and the only book you're being paid for. With the CPC model, you make a percentage of your cover price or your sale price, your library price, and the book can be checked out to as many people as the library can find, that are interested in it. So if you do happen to do, like, say you're speaking at a library, you're doing an event, everyone's interested in your book all of a sudden.
Yep.
With the original, like, one copy, one user model, the library would have to pay for each version of the book that they get,
Right.
which is expensive for the libraries. But with the CPC model, they're able to actually give every patron a copy of that book, and they pay a percentage of the price. You end up making more money overall.
Yep.
So this
As opposed to earning once now and then never again.
right.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things. It's like, libraries are such an amazing opportunity for indie authors,
Right.
especially now with Macmillan pulling shenanigans and putting this embargo on books and not allowing libraries to have popular books
Right.
for 90 days or more, right? This is a gap that indie authors should be shoving their books into right now.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the traditional publishers are, the terms that they're charging libraries for digital books are very high. Libraries are paying $60 sometimes or more for a single copy, like digital copy. So if I've checked that out, then you can't check it out until I check it back in. They frequently are limited to the number of times they can check that out before the library has to rebuy it. So there's a lot of opportunity, especially now that some of the traditional publishers are even holding their brand new books out of the libraries for a certain period of time. It's just not very library friendly.
Right.
I guess we should probably get back to the original question a little bit towards the argument for going wide. With going wide, you're more likely to be selected for a BookBub.
Right.
You have the opportunity to hit some of the lists, like USA Today bestseller lists. There is a big market out there of readers that don't buy on Amazon. Especially the international markets are very powerful.
The countries you can't actually buy from Amazon on.
Quite a few. Amazon has 13 or 14, I believe, country stores. So that leaves a whole lot of the world open, and the people that can't buy from Amazon.
I'm from Canada, so that's where Kobos were born. And so I own a Kobo. So if a book is in Kindle Unlimited and I hear, oh, this looks like a good book, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to go buy a Kindle or just use the Kindle app on my phone just because that's the only place it's available. I'm going to buy it where I buy books. And I get my books from my ebooks anyways, from Kobo. I'm not going to be able to read your book.
Right.
If it's only available there. So, there are other people who only read on Nook or only read on Apple or only read on other platforms.
Right.
And so
I think to a certain extent, the way to figure out what's right for you, and something as a company, we very much try to make it very easy. KU and Kindle Select is a 90-day term. So it's not forever. Like, it's not a choice that you have to really worry about quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can try Kindle Unlimited. I would talk to your peers who are writing in the same genre as you. There are some genres that work very well wide. There are some genres and subgenres that are really, most of the audience is in KU. And so just talking with your peers. I think for many people, as you get a larger catalog and you have more books, you're going to end up having books that are in KU and books that are wide. So you're building your readership in both different areas.
Yeah.
And you can kind of rotate series in or books in through to those programs as they become stale. So just a couple ideas. We don't tell anyone there's one right way to do all this. Obviously, we love it when you go wide, and we think it's a much healthier community if we have more retailers than just Amazon.
That's true. But again, it's your own path for each of your books, your own decision. And the beautiful thing is you have the choice.
And you can sort of hybridize this. I mean, I have all of my earlier series and everything are all wide. And then I have a series that is in KU. And the thing is, I've watched that earlier series slowly start to climb up. So it is a long game. So I'm leveraging the KU money and momentum, but I'm pushing those books to that same audience. So it sort of crosstalks, and it sort of helps out. One helps out the other. Yeah. I'll probably always have, as long as Amazon's willing to give me that money, I'm probably always going to have a book or two in that environment. But I'm always going to try to push it wide as soon as I feel like it's going to be sustainable.
Cool. I'm going to jump to another question now. Eve Paladin wants to know, is there a maximum file size for certain retailers? So I guess Eve's thinking about big box set.
Oh, as far as...
Or like the file size could also be if they have graphics in there.
Right. Oh, that's true, yeah.
We do have a limit on
there is, I don't remember what it is.
Steve when he walks by and say, Steve, what's the
I believe it's 100 megabytes.
Is it?
I want to say 100 megabytes too.
Okay.
It varies by retailer. We've kind of chosen,
Alyssa's going to tell us.
Since we often will send out, 100 megabytes. Since we often will send out the same book to multiple retailers, we kind of limit it at the retailer that has a certain file size limit.
Right.
Some of them have a little bit more support more than that. You really don't want to. You want to try to have your book size be small in general. Amazon is going to charge you, like if you're direct through KDP, based on the file size for delivery. And so it can end up costing you quite a bit of your potential royalties if your book is large. There are a couple ways around that. Like Amazon has a different program. If you want to have a large book, but you don't get paid, you get paid less, but then they don't charge you for the delivery fees. Things you can look into.
Okay. So Mary Fong asks, I have people who've asked if my ebook can be converted to print book with QR codes. Do you know if QR codes can be used for print books? I wonder if that's the question they're asking is they're confused about what they're asking. Because I'm
going to work from an assumption.
Okay.
And my assumption is that she's asking about using QR codes to deliver the book.
Oh, like to scan the ebook like through book font.
So like at the end of a print book to be able to like
scan the QR code and pick up the next book.
I don't know
wrong, if Mary, then you can let us know.
I don't know if any infrastructure out there to do that.
There is a way to do this.
Would it be
we have a tool that will help. The way you can do it, one way that you can do this is you can use our universal book links to create the link to the book. Right. And then you can go on a site like Bitly and which just
and create a QR code.
And you create a QR code through Bitly and will lead it to the
you can
the UBL. So there is,
but it's not going to make it's not going to make a print book out of it.
It won't create
but
the book,
but it'll take you to you scan it.
We can convert your file to an ebook, and then you can create a universal book link for that book, and then you can use a third-party service to create the QR code.
And you can print the QR code in the back of your print book or on the printed material, right, that people can scan to get to the ebook.
And Bitly is one of the tools that will do that. But
And there are free
million,
QR code generators out there.
You can do. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that will do it. I like Bitly. A lot of people hate Bitly. I like Bitly because it gives me some data. I can see when people click through.
Yeah.
And get a little bit of insight.
And we're going to provide a Bitly link, aren't we?
We're going to be giving you guys.
Yeah, very shortly.
QR codes, though, not terribly popular in the U.S. I know there are places where they are incredibly popular and well used.
Yeah.
For the most part, not used much here, like Canada.
We're a QR country.
You are.
Oh my God! Everywhere you go, there's QR codes. No, I mean, but
that's where they went.
Yeah, they migrated north, right? Because it got too hot in the U.S.
We were like, the rest of the world is using these things. America's not going to do it.
So
QR codes
Metric
are
system.
attracted to maple syrup.
That's what it is, and poutine.
Poutine.
Brooklyn Ann asks, who's the printer you're using? I forgot to ask when I emailed you. Well, you asked now, so cool.
IPG is our printer, and IPG you may be familiar with if you follow anything about the traditional publishing industry. They end up being the publisher for like Harlequin and
a lot of smaller presses as well. Independent publishers group.
But they have a nice long history and a nice worldwide presence. It doesn't always
and the distribution happens through IPG's partnership through Ingram,
right?
Basically, so pretty much
could
anywhere.
It could be printed by one of their partners. So depending on where the book is ordered and going to be sent to, it'll go out to a third-party printer sometimes.
Yeah. So it's a pretty solid network. It's not just one city here in Oklahoma or something like that.
I was going to answer that with like, what printer are you using? I was going to say like HP or Lefebvre.
HP.
the brother printer.
Gemma Mythica Nui asks, how does the audiobook work through D2D? As I've never done it before, and I'm concerned I'll be forking out lots of cash up front. So that's a great opportunity for us to talk about our partnership with Findaway Voices.
Findaway Voices.
Yeah.
Findaway has a very long history in the audiobook industry. They're the guys that made the Playaway. Was it Playaway? Playaway player.
Yeah.
That used to be available in libraries and
still
is.
Here in Oklahoma, I saw them
still available. They've got new ones.
Library downtown.
I thought they'd shut that down.
They've even got some new like children's books that like you read along.
Yeah.
And so it's got like it's like a print book with children's stuff, but then it's got audio component too as well.
It was a really cool thing. So they've got a long history in the audiobook industry. So what we have with them is a partnership that will allow you to, if you come in through us, you can move your book over pretty much with a click at this point. And it also waives the $50 casting fee. So that saves you a little bit of money up top. You do not have to distribute through us to go into Findaway. You can just use us as a gateway to get there and save yourself some cheddar.
And time. Metadata.
And what we do is we'll transfer all the metadata, everything related to your book will go with your book with a click. So we've made that very streamlined. We like Findaway quite a bit. They're very much like us in the way they do business, the way they care about the authors and the industry itself. So it's been a very good partnership for us.
And I think I should let you know, Gemma, Findaway Voices just announced a new program called Voices Share. And so typically audiobooks are priced by hour. And usually, so I think about 10 hours for the average 100,000 word book. So 10,000 words would be about an hour.
Yeah.
And usually it can be anywhere from, let's say 200 to
100 to 300, somewhere
in the realm per hour. But with Voices Share, it's a program where you agree and the narrator agrees that they'll take half of that. So instead of $400 an hour, it's $200. Or instead of $200 an hour, it's $100 an hour, which makes it more affordable. But then you share royalties on the book. And that can allow authors to get in.
It has a predetermined amount of time, so it does end after a while. So you split the royalties for a while with the narrator.
Yeah.
They have options to where you can buy the narrator out. So
if it's really successful and you'd rather just keep most
take some of the risk out of it for you as an author.
Which is very beneficial. Now, I've used Findaway Voices for several of my projects, and one of the things you can try is The very first one I did was Active Reader, which was about 14,000 words. So it didn't cost that much to produce. And I made my money back really quickly, particularly through the audio library market on the cost per checkout.
Yeah.
That's how I knew when we started to have that available. I went, ooh, that's how I'm making most of my money through Findaway Voices is these quick library checkouts. And again, so it didn't cost very much. The very first audiobook I did cost me over 3,000 US dollars. So in Canadian dollars, I was like 15,000. No, it's a lot more Canadian dollars. And I haven't made my money back on that yet, but I've made my money back on all the small ones. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a bunch of small audiobooks from short stories and short story digital chapbook collections. And as I'm earning money back on those, I'm putting that money into a fund to help fund the larger books that will cost, the 80 to 100,000 word books.
Did we mention the distribution network yet? We've talked about production. If you already have an audiobook, though, or once you get an audiobook done, they can help you distribute, and they have the option to go wide in the same way that we make it really easy to go wide with your ebook, and we've built out a massive network of digital retailers. They've worked out a massive network of audio retailers and library systems. Yeah. And so
that distribution includes Audible and Apple Books as well.
And a better deal on Apple Books than you get through ACX.
Better deal on Apple Books. Yeah. You get to control your price everywhere but Audible. And so you can do some exciting things with marketing that when Audible was the only player really indies could reach, you had no control over your price. Everything is a credit. Amazon determines exactly how much that book is worth. They might charge less for things with WhisperSync and a couple other things, but you had no control. You couldn't really run any promotions. With Findaway, you can run promotions at Apple. You can run promotions with BookWeb's new Chirp service. Kobo's got their own audiobook platform now, Barnes & Noble, and then libraries. A whole lot of the money that Findaway is seeing is in library sales, and libraries are buying up audiobooks because their patrons are demanding them. So it's a good time to be an author.
The pricing is, you have, other than ACX, other than Audible rather, the pricing is adjustable all the way down to $0, which gives you some promotional advantages. You can also, through this program, you can do shorter works, which is something that is not beneficial to you when you're limited to just Audible because of that credit system. Right. Because people want the longest book they can get for a credit.
Right.
But now we can break that system, and you can actually start publishing shorter audio works, which may gain you an audience faster, because there are a lot of people who like to just have a quick listen to something. They don't necessarily
like a short commute or something.
Right. Yeah. Taking a quick walk, and they want to listen to half an hour or to an hour of audio rather than trying to get through a 30-hour book. So this is it's like opening up a bunch of new markets.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump over to a quick one. Eve Paladin asks, will you be implementing an ad platform?
Not really a plan right now. We are building out more things around the books to read platform that we have to reach more readers. We have no intention of selling ads to authors at this point, though.
Our model is we make money when the author makes money, and so anytime there's an opportunity to charge authors for something, it's not in our DNA, right? It's one of the things that we're very leery about, because there's so many players in the industry that are just looking to charge authors for things, and that's never been the way that we've operated. So the concept of helping authors sell books is great. So leveraging books to read in that way to help authors sell more would be great, because when you sell more, then we make more.
That said, we do recognize the value of advertising, and we know how challenging that can be for authors. So it is something that we do kick around, and we are kind of thinking over. We never stop thinking about ways to help authors, but this particular program isn't something we're going to implement anytime soon, but it is something we do discuss, trying to figure it out. Because if we can figure out a way for authors to, anything we can do that's going to help authors find a bigger audience and sell more books, we want to do. In large part because that's how we make our money, is when you sell books. So something we're considering, and something we'll probably eventually solve, just because that's what we do.
We continue to work with our retailers and library partners to nominate and promote books within their merchandising infrastructure, which is all different everywhere. They all do it all differently. With Books to Read, we just want to drive readers to our retailers. And so we want to help them sell more books. We want to help you sell more books. Then we make more money.
And everyone's happy. And they're
Everyone's
reading more, and
happy.
they're reading more makes people happy, right? So,
And we don't know about you, but we like money.
and reading.
And,
We like
and
reading.
reading.
And writing.
I think that next question kind of also is on the same lines.
So which one?
Dan Gallagher there.
So Dan asks, and there's a comment to follow it up. So Dan asks, Dan Gallagher asks, do you have a way to match up authors who can exchange mass email links, like mutual support? The idea is that similar authors promote a buddy author in the regular emails. The other author does the same, hence this multiplies exposure. Can you facilitate this link up between authors who are open to that? And then the follow-up comment is he suggests create a contact list of authors willing to mutually promote with other authors, especially for mass mail lists. We can't share the list, but we can promo a fellow author with that author doing the same. This would work best if the list size and other venues can be included in the authors arranged by subgenre and genre, or otherwise commenting on the profile. So I like the idea of using Books to Read for that, right? You have landing pages with,
And that could
Link
be
titles?
and ultimately be a feature that we can incorporate. Right now, it's not really something that we're developing and it's on the radar. I can say that there are plenty of we'll call them FOBs, friends of business, who are doing this sort of thing already.
Yeah.
Book Funnel has a whole promo.
oh, that's right, they
promo
do,
thing.
yeah.
And there are plenty of other groups out there.
People are often within like their genre Facebook groups or forums they go to within their genre doing this email swap idea. It is a great idea. It's working for a lot of people. It's something like we're open to. It's a little bit hard to enforce as a third party,
Right.
and make sure that everyone I've agreed to send out my book, your book to my email or my email list and vice versa.
Yeah.
But
Policing that would be impossible.
yeah,
That said, though, I mean, there is the possibility that we could create just a forum for authors to be able to connect to do just this.
To do
So,
just that, yeah, it's possible.
it's a good idea. I mean, I'm willing to kick it around.
So I'm going to jump over to Julie Strauss says, do you have any tips for marketing a multi-author shared world series? So multi-author shared world, they're all writing in the same universe, probably independently publishing the books. Well, I think Books to Read and the landing pages, like the custom landing pages would be a great way to have a landing page that is all retailer inclusive.
right.
So it can go to Amazon, go to Apple, and go to Kobo, and go to Nook, it can go to all the retailers.
Yeah.
And you can control it. Julie, you can create the page, and you can put the carousels and the links and stuff like that. So I think
That reading list would be very
Reading list, I was
powerful.
just going to mention.
reading lists would be
That's a new tool. If you haven't seen that yet, we do have a blog post about that. And maybe Alyssa could be really nice and find the link to the announcement about it. Thanks, Alyssa. But reading lists are a great place for this kind of thing because you can create a themed list with a custom header on it. We have some templates you can use, but you can create these custom carousels that can do anything you need to do, frankly.
Yeah.
But one thing, like I have a group of authors, we're building something called Thriller Cartel. And we've got sort of a hero book up top that'll rotate out. And then we have a carousel of sort of first in series reads for each author. And then we've got themes, like there's an Atlantis theme, and then there's a Mayan theme, and there's, we've got that all broken down. Now, if you're doing a multi-author set, I mean, you're only going to have the one book, but you might make that, like, say, a hero book and have other books by those authors. And then that's an incentive for these authors to share this far and wide,
right.
and for readers to share it far and wide. And always ask your readers to share stuff.
Like obviously in this case, like the email swap that we were talking about on that last question, email swap would be a great way since you're all writing within the same genre probably. Yeah. Sharing with your different lists and pulling people into the overall world would be great. Some of the retailers, if you ask, will set up a landing page for things that are part of a multi-author World Series. So it doesn't hurt to ask about that.
Yeah, but what I love is you don't have to be like, well, I hope they build it for me. It's like, no, I'm going to build it myself.
You can definitely build your own with the reading list.
Yeah, I love that.
Super handy.
So
We're getting kind
is
of close.
Books to Read available to support traditional publishers for free? No, you can put any book you want in Books to Read. Any book.
Literally any book.
I love the idea of charging traditional publishers, but I have traditionally published books and I use Books to Read for them. Any book, no matter how it's published, you can put it up there. It doesn't have to be your own.
So
Does
we're
Does it have to be
close to time,
distributed
We're close to
to drop
time.
to digital?
It doesn't have to be, no.
no.
We have 5 minutes, so we need to give out something, right?
We do. We got a couple of things we need to hit up. Well, let's just give we're going to do, everybody has really enjoyed the consultations. We know because we were inundated with people who signed up, but also
One-on-one,
people
half
who
hour.
couldn't get in. So we are offering this again. And basically we're offering 30 minutes free with one of us, and you don't get to pick who. So there's not a popularity contest, and Dan would win.
He would. We would want a one-on-one consultation with them.
However, you get a 30-minute session. There's a limited number of these, and it's limited, frankly, because there's just a limited number of hours in each day and a limited number of days in a month.
And we're at conferences.
And we're all
traveling.
attending conferences.
We like to sleep every once in a while,
Yeah,
but
sometimes.
we do have slots.
Yeah, we do have slots. So I'm going to ask this time, because some of you get really excited and you sign up for multiple sessions, or you come back after having had a session previously. So what we're going to ask is, if you have done one before, please allow someone else to take your spot this time. And if you don't get a spot, don't feel bad. We will figure something out. And eventually, if you keep coming back to the webinars, we're going to keep offering these. So we would love to talk to everybody. And frankly, with 3 of us, we figured we'd be able to cover a lot more ground, but these are a lot more popular than we were anticipating. So the link to do that, and if I'm hoping Alyssa will share this in the Facebook group as well.
She will.
It's bit.ly D2D consult. And that is available. It's open right now. There are slots between today and September 30th.
Although this weekend we're at a conference
A
as
lot
well,
of us
so
are
a lot
going,
of
yeah.
the
So
time's going to be
there may
blocked.
not be any spots open.
And
like
we have a holiday for the U.S. on Labor Day.
Labor
Do they have
Day.
Labor Day in that?
Yeah, we have Labor Day. We have Labor and Labor Day.
I didn't. Canadians work.
Yeah, and they have babies. That's what Labor Day is about. Isn't it?
That's what it's about.
Okay.
That's what Labor Day. I will hear any objections. So please.
Oh, Alyssa, come on and say hi.
Alyssa
That would
wants
be
to come in and
great.
say hi.
Yeah, come on.
Come on in.
The office we share in the back. You'll see her.
Come on
Hey,
in.
Alyssa.
Look,
You get to see her. This is awesome.
That's her. Look,
We didn't
She's
just
gonna
make
come
her
in.
up.
she's waving.
Yeah.
Hi, Alyssa.
So thank you so much for the support. that
She
you
makes
get to-
so much magic happen behind the scenes. We literally couldn't run the company without her. So it's a shame we only pay her in like pogs,
and Canadian maple
car
cookies.
wash tokens. So thank you so much for helping us out. Alyssa.
Yeah. And thank you guys.
You want to say something? You say you?
I did not have a speech prepared, but yeah, we love you guys. So thanks for coming in.
Awesome.
You have it.
Thanks
So-
for coming in too.
I think that's going to have to wrap us up.
Yeah.
2 minutes early.
2 minutes early.
I don't know. We can talk about.
We can talk about something for 2
2 minutes.
minutes.
We can give 2 minutes. Oh, I think we're going to tease. There's going to be a new library market that
Libraries.
we are distributing to, if everything goes well.
Okay, we are huge fans of
Next
libraries.
week, right?
Everyone in the
Next
company
week.
discovered a love for reading at their local library. And we really dislike what's going on with Macmillan. But we are introducing another distribution channel for libraries in the next week. We're going to be distributing through Hoopla. And if you've heard of Hoopla, you know they are huge. They have a huge distribution network.
Yep.
And they're going to be, their terms are a little different than some of the other libraries, but they're going to be able to pay you on the CPC.
And it's complicated. We
It
will
is
send
very
you details
complicated.
though, but
There will
we
be a
recommend
note
checking it
coming out
out.
to all our authors. And it will be on our blog.
We will be announcing this. You guys are hearing about it first, but we will be announcing to the world within the next week.
Yeah, so don't tell anyone. Just
Don't-
keep it to yourself. Shh, quiet.
All right.
Yeah.
And if it gets out, we know who did it. But yeah, so that's just one more branch of our library branch.
I get it.
And we're just really excited
Gotcha.
about it. We love the whole library thing. We love everything about it. And we kind of hit on this earlier, but right now is the time to start pushing your books into libraries as much as you can, because there's a vacancy. And if you produce books that are like the bestsellers and new books that are coming out, patrons can't get those. So they're going to go for the closest thing.
Lots of opportunity in ebooks, lots of opportunity in audiobooks
Yeah.
in libraries. And hopefully print will open up a little bit more to indie authors. It's an awesome time.
So
Thank you guys for wonderful advice, and thanks for hanging out with us again on this Ask Us Anything. We will see some of you one-on-one, face-to-face consultations.
yes, and also we are, since we're in Oklahoma City this weekend, some of us are here for the WriterCon. If you're in Oklahoma City, if you're attending WriterCon,
Nearby.
it's right here.
And we're having an open house here tomorrow night,
Friday night,
7 p.m., which is the 30th of August.
30th of August,
7
That's
p.m.
tomorrow night,
There'll be
Friday,
drinks,
7
there'll be
p.m.
food. You get a chance to see us in person,
Drink
and
with us.
hang out, and sit in the game of books chair.
That's right.
As well.
Writers are coming.
The book throne.
The books run. That's right.
So thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you being here, and we
Thank
hope you
you.
got something out of this.
Bye-bye.